Okay, we will call the regular city council meeting for Tuesday, March 19th to order. If you would all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item, if I could get a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor Ryan, we will also be removing item F18 from tonight. We will not have anything for that item.
Okay, so we can we'll amend that. 18 is off, and if I could, anyone who could get a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, I'll also make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item is open forum. This is a chance for the public to make any comment or bring anything up that they wish to address the council with. We asked for a 5-minute maximum time limit, and if it's an item you wish to discuss that's actually on the agenda under new business or old business, then we will give you time at that point. Is there any open forum? Anyone wish to address the council? Seeing no one, we will close open forum. Report, city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Good evening, members of the council. My report is in your packet tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I would just comment that the first couple of weeks of March were busy with a couple different Capitol Day on the Hill, one in St. Paul and one in Washington, D.C. And time well spent meeting with our legislators and talking about some of the challenges with, especially statewide, some of the legislation proposals that are coming forward in the current session, one of which we will be discussing later tonight under new business. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
It was a very good session down there, and if you haven't looked at what's going on down in the legislature, I'd recommend you do, because there's some really interesting things going through or trying to go through.
Jenny, I was actually going to ask, if I may, in regards to what you brought to our attention last month in regards to I think it's Section 8, the housing. If you have any updates on that, or if you're aware of anything from the state level.
I do. We have a resolution in our packet, basically stating that the city wants to maintain local control of our zoning and our housing regulations.
Right.
So that we don't support the legislation that's being proposed. So we'll have council action to hopefully support that resolution that we would send to our legislators and the housing committee. Bethany and I have been talking today about her helping me provide some more context to what these changes would mean for Nisswa. So they have some examples of the impacts, not just we don't like this legislation, but here are the challenges we foresee with some of the proposed regulations. So we'll work on that some more. But yes, there's certainly some more movement in the bill. It looked like for some time that they were going to keep certain city populations out of the proposed language, but they've modified that to basically include all cities of different classes. It's just different regulations within that. So I don't think we're exempt from this. We will have to address any new regulations that they ultimately propose. So we want to try to keep the message out there that we want to maintain our regulations.
Does anyone have any other questions for the city administrator? City attorney?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't have anything to report here.
City engineer?
Evening, Mayor. We have no business for the council tonight.
Okay, new business. Item 1 is contracted fire service agreements. Anyone have any questions? We have a chance to go through it. This is an annual. Okay.
Did have a chance to go through it. So I think the next one is regarding the grant, so I'll save my comment I was gonna make till for that one. Unless anybody has any questions on it.
Anyway, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 contracted fire service agreement as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item is approval of a after-the-fact FEMA grant application for the fire department.
I can just offer the comment that I asked that Chief Bailey to include this information in your packet because I think it's important that the council has approves our grant applications, especially one of this size. And just so you have the information and aware that something, if there was a follow-up to this, if we were awarded the contract, or if anything were to come in the future, that you're aware, these are the things we're looking at doing. And could certainly ask questions or provide feedback to us so that we have that going forward.
I did have a chance to speak with Chief Bailey about this. This is obviously already submitted. I think he did reach out to everybody individually to get approval to proceed with this because the window was relatively tight to be able to get this put in, I think. What was it now, even 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yes, I
Okay.
think the 8th.
On a
it would be the
Friday,
8th.
he had to get it submitted by. So hopefully we can get some potential movement with it. I think he said it was probably a 5-10% chance that we would see anything for it, so.
I did take a look at it too. I just noticed that we have I didn't see the percentage, like just shy of 100,000 matching fund.
Or
If we get it, if we were to get it, we have to come up with,
Yeah, it's a matching fund.
the matching fund. So we'll have to come up with, $95,238,010.10.
which the donation dollar amount, I think last year got around the 59,000 or $65,000 threshold. So I think part of Chief Bailey's plan was to
Right.
see what more the public would be willing to kick in. And I think I'd be comfortable in backing a number like
Yeah,
that.
just, that was, yeah, but we do have a policy and hopefully, I know Chief Bailey said it kind of came up against a deadline. I don't know if it was a deadline or if it was, well, the way Chief Bailey put it to me was he kind of dropped the ball on this. He didn't get it going fast enough and soon enough. So he was aware, but, this is why it would be nice to know about these things. If they would talk with you as your liaison, even, ahead of time, we can budget for some of this stuff too. That would be nice, but thankfully we do have some reserve funds. But, I just so department heads know, funds, that's why we had this policy was, donations or grants of this size. It's nice. I mean, even if we knew about it earlier, we could almost, as a council say, well, let's set aside a little extra and maybe fudge the numbers so that we're willing to put in more than we have to if we want something that bad. So that's my only point. He did say the odds of getting it are slim. So, but,
No,
I
and
did- I
it,
did
and it
ask-
does follow the plan, for the plan that he had put forward for,
right, but it doesn't follow the policy that's in place. That's my only point.
Right.
So, hopefully in the future that gets followed. Plus, if we do get it, I asked him, where are we gonna put it? He said, well, it's gonna go in the third bay.
Yeah,
So,
I think if we do
know,
get it, I don't think anybody would be disappointed, paying 90,000 for
No,
over $1
no,
million
not
truck.
saying that-
I think
not
that's
saying
a
that at all.
viewpoint.
Just, again, procedures, that's all, so. But I'll make a motion to accept the, after the fact grant application.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Request from Denise Park reference, consider property donation to the city of Nisswa. Jenny?
Yes, as noted in your packet, I was engaged by Ms. Denise Park. I think our city planner was as well, about interest in donating some land to the city. The map of where the property is located is included there for you, and she had a couple of stipulations as far as no development, timbering, and such, and keeping it for public neighborhood use. And what I said was that I would just present this to the city council to see if you had any interest in pursuing this conversation, and if there was, we could discuss it some more and probably involve our city attorney in those conversations, but wanted to gauge your interest starting out to see if there was a desire to potentially receive this property as a donation.
For me, if the stipulations would be the city of Nisswa would just basically have the acreage and we couldn't do anything with it. Has the family looked at a conservancy through the state for this property instead of handing it over to the city?
I don't know, but I could ask or make that suggestion if that was something the council wanted.
Because when I look at the stipulations stuff, this is more of a conservancy than anything. And I do have just the, it talks about snowmobilers and ATVs using it, that would be a liability for the city also, if, unless it's posted. Those are just my worries. So I think if they can find a different option, that would be my preference, but I don't know how everybody else sits.
And I sort of concur on that, but the other question I wanted to know is, they say no structural habitation. Would that include a bathroom? You know, like what we're doing at the Hole in the Day area. So that if people were to use it as a public neighborhood, you know, for snowmobiling or walking through it, that there might be a bathroom there.
I know for the Hole in the Day, I think the only reason there's a bathroom is because that was a stipulation put on it by the county.
By the county,
Yeah.
correct, right.
It's not in here. I
Eh,
didn't see.
Mhm.
So you want a council motion, just so I'm clear on this. You're hoping to get a council motion to continue discussions with Ms. Park regarding their interest in donating this property?
I'm looking for council direction in any way. You could say, no, thank you. You could say, yes, we're interested. Or if you have questions, I can bring those questions back and follow up next month. I'm just looking to see if you would like to continue this conversation.
So I guess the only thing that I would pose is, with what we already discussed regarding the housing legislation that is coming, probably highly likely coming through based off of the makeup of the state legislature. If this is done that way, and with all consideration to the land that the city of Nisswa has currently, which is obviously very limited, where does this parcel kind of fall into play for development to be able to accommodate what the state legislature would try to mandate down to us? And would this not be a prime piece of land that the state legislature would say, bingo, 30-person apartment complex, because it's city land, you're gonna do it. Do you see a probability with that if that was to be proceeded and to be donated? I guess. Looking for.
Well, there's no obligation that the city develop its land. So this would be, if it was privately owned, continue to be that way, then there's a potential that there could be increased density for housing that would potentially be on that property. If that helps, I don't think there's not obligation for the
so
city
that-
to
So
develop
that
land.
legislation from the state level for providing this housing
Mhm.
is not just for public land, it's also for private, so they can take private land from a private citizen, is that what I'm understanding?
No, it's allowing private citizens to develop their property in increased ways. And so as
Got it.
opposed to having a single family home on a property, you might have a duplex or an apartment complex or something on that property, as opposed to what we have now, which is to say we have larger size lots. We have more buffer built within that, and they're saying, we're gonna make you say you have to allow more density
They
So
want,
developers can have more options.
they want to force multifamily housing. So for example, I have less than a 1 acre lot. And the way the legislation is currently written, if I wanted to put a fourplex on that lot, there's nothing the city could do to stop me from doing it.
Got it.
That's what they're going for. But to your point, that doesn't necessarily stop them from changing something in the future either.
Right.
But Joey, any thoughts on it?
No, I guess if the state goes with that law they're talking about, we better hope we get that grant Chief Bailey wrote for. I mean,
You're gonna need more money
Yeah,
for infrastructure.
honestly, after reading this, it looks, like, more of a property that might be better suited. I don't know, I think of other area communities like Upgard Wildlife Refuge up in Ideal or Cross Lake, things like that. Maybe if that's the intent of this property, I'm not sure how that's set up, but I'm not sure that, that it's something for the city of Nisswa. Maybe, the state of Minnesota or, even another organization, I don't, obviously not like Ducks Unlimited, but another organization that would be more suited for this property than the city.
I think for a little context, if you think about the parcels along Camp Lincoln Road, we worked with the county to acquire that land because we saw an opportunity to develop some open space, another recreation opportunity that would be available to the public. So if that hasn't been an identified need for our community to say we want another location for something like that, something to consider to say, I think the value for us as the city is to create opportunities for the public to access property or be outside and enjoy nature and the wildlife and all of that. So there are some, restrictions here that they're looking for understandably, but thinking about sort of the public use and benefit to the city having properties, maybe something to consider.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that the stipulations then would need to be changed, especially right now, knowing that parcel in the no timbering and knowing what the storms were in that area and back in 16 and stuff and all the blowdown and what that still looks like. Actually, right now, especially with the dry conditions we have, it's actually a pretty high fire risk area for that whole community by not having the timbering and the proper logging done there. And I guess I'd recommend, looking at having, a forester come in and do an evaluation on it before anything would happen, because right now it'd actually be more of a liability to us than a benefit at this point in the condition it's in. And, and obviously the stipulation would have to change.
I think there's a lot of things that have to change stipulation wise. Exactly. That was the biggest one that I was worried about. What's gonna happen when a fire starts in there and we're responsible for it. The other thing that, maybe staff could reach out to the family or to this individual and find out what exactly are they trying to accomplish. Because to Councilman Fraley's point, there's a lot of other ways they can do that without involving the city. And if you're gonna have four-wheelers, snowmobilers, or three-wheel, whatever, running around on there, if it's our property and somebody gets hurt, we're liable. And there's no way you're gonna prevent, people from being out there and doing that. Then there's also the, how do you restrict access so people don't go in there and start dumping stuff, and then our public works crew has to go in there and start cleaning it up and all that on top of everything else. So no timbering, no land development, no structural habitation erected. That's fine. We don't need to build anything in there. But land development will, that's a pretty broad term. I mean, how much liability does the city assume if we get a piece of property like this?
It's hard to say. Joe makes a good point about that needing to be logged and cleaned up.
Yep.
It's a liability to the landowners as it is, which may be part of the reason why this is being offered up. I
I don't think you need to make a motion tonight, but if you're interested in having staff and Jenny explore this concept further, this is just a pretty basic email inquiry. If you're interested in talking more about it, then I think you should instruct staff to discover more information from the landowner on this, including whether all the landowners are in agreement with the idea. It's really just a bare concept at this point. No motion necessary, but maybe some direction to staff, either to proceed with a concept or discard it entirely.
I think that would be the best course to take, and we could table it till staff or we could just have you do that, and then you can bring back to us when you have more information, what they're trying to get to. Does that make sense? You know, what is it they want to do? I don't think anybody here is agreeable to the stipulations on there, especially the timbering.
Yes, I could do that. I think I get a sense, based upon Councilmember Fraley's comments about seeing if there was another path for them as well to achieve their goal.
Yeah.
But can just also talk with them about their stipulations and, just knowing that that would be a challenge for the city to pursue in this manner at this time. And maybe there's another route that
I
they
would-
can pursue and
I don't think-
encourage them to do that.
I don't think any of us want to see this or future councils' hands cuffed by, agreeing to stuff. The city needs to be able to use it or take care of it as they feel necessary. And so, and that may change 5 years from now, 2 years from now, next year, whatever. So, okay,
Thank you.
all right. Public Works request reference drop-off recycling location recommendation.
As Tom's coming up to the podium, I just want to mention that we did receive 2 emails from the public. I forwarded those to you today. They're on your packet as well. So wanted to just for the record note that we did receive some comments.
Good evening, everybody. I think you're all aware that we last fall talked about the recycling site and that we would be making a decision come May 1st, whether to relocate our existing recycling site out to an area by our wastewater ponds, or we would be closing that site. Well, that deadline is coming up pretty fast with the nice weather. It's kind of on our mind a little bit. We would need to update signage and things if we are planning on closing it, and put together a plan for closing it. So I was hoping to just start a discussion with you tonight. What do you want to do with it?
And I think I've been dealing with this ever since when I first started here on the Public Works. And we've done surveys and talked with many different people. Considering in my opinion here, considering the problems that it poses for the fire department as well, to have it in the backyard, plus the master plan with the putting in the pickleball courts, which would be right next to the fence, right over the fence, you'd have the pickleball courts there. And all of these other issues that come up, we looked at other types of properties to try to see if there's a better site. Really, the only better site is the one at the sewage area there, and nobody really wanted to have, according to the survey. So for me, it's unfortunate that it gets shut down because we've had it for such a long time. But to have it in a downtown location like that, with the issues that we have with the other, with the fire department and the master plan, I would just say that we need to just close it down for now. And unfortunately, it could maybe come up later on as a referendum if many people want to have it back. But for now, I would say shut it down. We need to make that clear. That's what we decided a long time ago. We'd set a deadline, and the deadline has come. And my recommendation is we go ahead and shut it down.
Mark? Anything?
Yeah, I don't disagree. It needs to be closed down. Correct me if I'm wrong. The time frame that we were also giving was for the handlers to gear up to start to provide curbside, right? So there will be another option for people in the city, and that is curbside.
Yeah, and the curbside has been offered by, I believe, all of the haulers at
Yep.
this time.
They're all up and running.
We've contacted them in the last week for their licenses for this upcoming year for hauling in Nisswa with the curbside recycling. So far, I've heard nothing but good comments about that. The few comments I've heard from people using the drop-off site, they're mostly people who are kind of out of our area.
Right.
So I think I have a difficult time recommending to you to keep it open where it is.
Yeah, no, it needs to be closed down and cleaned up.
I have a difficult time, even considering a $500,000 investment in expansion of your facility out there off Lower Roy Lake to be able to put recycling. I'm in favor with Councilman Utzinger and Hall to close it permanently. And perhaps we can reevaluate as the city grows and develops to consider future sites for practical use of a recycling center if it fits.
I think the other thing to be aware of too, and I pointed out in my memo that we're losing county funding for our operation too, and that's a big thing to be aware of. So
Right.
beginning in the year 2025, our annual cost goes up $35,000 minimum. So something else to be aware of.
For me, it's strictly a dollar and cents thing. I have no problem with recycling, but even our hauler waste partners has said it really doesn't work very well where it's at. It's just too congested. It takes them forever to empty, and they're constantly removing pulling this dumpster to empty this one, putting them all back. It just doesn't flow very well, even for them. I also know that with the county pulling out, it might be 35,000, it's gonna become $75,000 roughly annual cost that we have to incur in order for everybody in the area, if we were to just saying, if you left it where it was at, which some people would like to see it done, but it doesn't work. Putting it out, it has to go someplace where we can monitor it. We can you get there would have to be a fee structure to people who are dropping off there in and out. Somebody's gonna have to make sure it can happen, whether that's an electronic gate or if it's a person sitting there. There's just a lot of added expenses to the city that we don't need, especially with curbside recycling. I have curbside, it works fine. It's no additional cost to the city. And we could honestly take the money that we're currently investing in this, since the county wants to pull out. And we can just put that back into the public works, into the road fund, or someplace into the public works department where it can be better used. I don't blame the people down there on Lower Roy Lake Road for not wanting it. I don't think it would be that great of an increase in traffic personally, but it is going to be an increase in traffic. But to your point, Jesse, $350,000 or more. I also happen to know that the county has their recycling center out at Riverton, and they have even gone to the point where some people may have received them already. They're mailing out coupon vouchers to residents, so you can take your recycling out there and use the coupon voucher. It's been requested, could those coupon vouchers be verified or used at the Ideal transfer station, so that people don't have to drive 85 miles round trip to get from Northern Crow and Cotton back. And as of right now, the answer from that committee with the county board is no. So if they really want recycling that bad, I'm sure people can talk to the county and they can help us out, because they have a lot more opportunity and monies than we do. So I'm for curbside recycling, period, and shutting it down.
Two questions for you, corollaries to this. As you know, there's also a oil recycling bin there, and there's also the Lions have a can trailer there.
Mhm.
Do you want those removed as well?
That was that was the other thing is, I've talked to two other businesses in town that do a lot of oil, they go through a lot of oil stuff themselves. They're not real keen on having it at their location because they don't want to have to clean up after the people that don't dispose of things properly in the oil that. I don't know if anyone else in town would be, maybe we could go through, maybe we could throw something out there. Would anyone be willing to have that oil recycling and stuff there? I
think the way to handle that might be, we have contact with East Side Oil. If somebody is interested, if they can get a hold of me and I can get them that contact information and they can
That
go
would be
directly to
great.
East Side Oil to.
And we can leave it there. I don't think that is such an, I don't know that that's that big of an interference. Okay, for the fire department, like everything
Yeah,
else is, it
no.
doesn't blow around, but it needs to go. It needs to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
So, and then it's off the city property, it's somewhere else. Maybe in the future, we'll have a piece of property where we can put it again. But if East Side Oil can talk to some folks and see maybe they have more contacts, they can come up with something, that would be fine. The Lions Can trailer, I don't know how big a problem that is. I mean, can we put it in the park or can we put it by the community center in a different spot? What can we do?
The only thing I'm aware of is I think there's a duplicate can in the Schaefer's parking lot. So I don't know if they could have two there or if the
But-
one there is enough. No?
Take-
Okay.
So, you
I
know,
think my concern with is if we leave any part of the recycling there, at this time at least, we're gonna have people
Exactly, yeah, I know.
dumping around that.
Yeah.
Maybe then I would say reach
All
out, you're
needs
gonna
to-
have to reach out to the Lions and they're gonna have to find someplace else to put their trailer.
The Lions donates to the fire department.
A lot, yeah.
Right.
So I mean,
The thing is, it's already abused right now, so oftentimes by that trailer back there, I mean, I've seen everything from mattresses leaned up against there to whatever, because like Tom said, they just throw everything back there, so actually, for the Lions, it's getting abused in that location because nobody's watching, so anybody will throw anything in that trailer, it's not only cans going in there, you name it, and we've seen it in there. So it needs, moving it around, letting people know, hey, they can't just dump their stuff there. I'm sure it's the same people coming back, doing it over and over again. So not that it can't go back there in the future, but I think even if it was gone for 6 months to a year, then reevaluate it, kind of keep people honest with it.
I'd be in favor of also removing it all. And it was your second question, a timetable to this as to when it would be removed?
Yeah, so I suggested a timetable for all of this. I want to put the signs up as soon as spring is officially here, so basically as soon as I can get them printed. And we would allow this thing to continue to operate through the summer. We'll close it on September 30th. And have it cleaned up before the snow flies this fall.
Why that date? Why couldn't we maybe say, I was thinking sooner. Why not maybe like May 1st?
I guess if you wanted to make it sooner, you could. I was just
to
trying to be.
discuss-
generous.
I would vote on making it sooner, so all the people that are out of town come into the town, just get them corrected on where to go from the get-go this spring. I would be in favor on getting rid of it May 1.
Well, I think we do have funds from the county this year, right?
That's a good point, John, yeah.
At this point, we have funds for the county.
We don't receive the funding though. The billing works where we pay our share and the county pays their share. So if it goes
That's fair.
away, then that will just go
The
away.
county is paying for 50% of it this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
For however long we keep it.
Right, so if we were to keep it open through the summer, then nobody has any excuses for not, and I mean, that was it was never my intention or my understanding that the council's intention was to close it just when curbside recycling came about. It was my understanding of all of those discussions that you're gonna see a significant drop in the use of it with curbside recycling, but not summer residents. This gives them one summer to realize they're done. And
What did we say in the fall though? Because actually in the fall, I thought we voted and said May 1 that we'd make a decision on closing it.
What we
and-
made a decision on was that by April 1st, the 1st of April, all of our city haulers had to be, if you were gonna be a hauler in the city of Nisswa, you had to accept curbside recycling. That's what that was. Closing it at the end of September, it gives all those summer residents that don't have anything, they still have that option, but the signs are there. They can't, they're gonna drive in, they're gonna see the sign, closing September 30th, period. And then every time they drive in, they're gonna see it. It's only a few more months. That's my 2 cents anyway, you know.
Yeah, and I would like to close it sooner too, but I do believe we need to, like what you mentioned, advertise this more, at the site. Give them a little bit more time, like you said, just not, so it's not like that. People will complain that we just pull the rug out. I think,
People would be shocked that government moves so quick.
yeah, exactly. But I think,
Which I think we have an opportunity to do our fire department a favor, regardless of the warning, and there are,
There's
there are,
warning.
there are,
Yeah.
this has been Obvious.
Talked about for 2 years. I don't feel
Right, so
like
I
there's no
think if we move up the
barriers.
date, I think if we move up the date, I'm fine with that.
could we settle maybe on a June one?
yeah, I would prefer to have a little bit longer, not May 1st.
I would say do one or the other. Don't try to go in between, because I think kind of to John's point, if people start dumping there, or,
Oh.
if people start dumping there
Take
this year,
advantage of the, yeah.
they'll keep dumping there. But I think if we have the signs up as soon as possible, this is closing June 1st would be the latest I'd want to close it.
And then the
If,
issue,
if we're not doing it in September.
will be for people who keep dumping. So they're gonna have to issue citations.
Well,
How
if we
are we
talk
gonna
with-
handle that?
Well, if we talk with Waste Partners, they have their cameras up. We could talk with them and I'm sure they would be willing to leave the cameras up.
Right.
And then they've been working with the police department. If they haven't, I think they've been contacting the individuals that they catch and they've been working with the police department to do that. And however, those people have been contacted, and I believe what he had said was that it was, they were getting very, you know, they weren't getting the repeat offenders. So people were saying almost like, got caught, okay, I won't come back there and do that. And however, they've been handling it, so.
I would recommend that we pull the concrete out that all that is sat on, because it's all oil stained, it's all a mess anyhow. Pull the concrete out of it, dump some black dirt and grass seed in there and make it look more like matching to the park.
There is a park component to that too. We really can't build back into that space. I've talked to Amber about that,
Yeah.
so. I've also talked to Mike Deck about tearing the concrete and stuff out. We can have it out pretty fast,
Yeah.
as soon as you make a decision.
So the question is, what is I think the council all agrees on one thing, it needs to go away, and we're not
Yep.
gonna rebuild it out on council. I think we're all agreeing on that. So what do we want to give for direction as to when? You know,
I still say May 1st, just
I too say May 1st.
I'll concur.
Okay, me too.
Okay.
So.
So
do we
need a
to make
motion to
I'd like to
eliminate
make
the
a motion then that we do go ahead and close the recycling site as we have been talking about for many years, and that it will be shut down on May 1st. And we'll get signage out as soon as possible to let the residents know as much as possible.
second.
is that everything that we need in that?
For this, yeah, I think that's
Okay.
fine for me.
Including removing of the oil stain concrete.
Everything's gone.
Yeah,
Mike-
everything will be gone.
Yeah, well, that once all the stuff is closed and gone, we can rip the concrete out whenever we want, yeah.
Okay.
So. Okay.
We got that new excavator. We can tear it out of there.
And then you'll work on the oil part, right?
Yeah,
Get
I
ahold of you.
actually been in contact with them, and he just wanted me to let him know what we decide, so.
Okay, great. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Public Works requests reference televising the city sewer lines. Probably could have been worded better.
Yeah, it's not on channel 2.
Yeah.
I ribbed him
Well,
already. I ribbed
I
him
can
already.
put it on YouTube if anybody's really needs something to fall asleep.
Denied.
Uncle Tom's Corner.
Denied.
I-
So basically what this is, you're all aware that we're considering a road bond for 2025 and beyond. And, we also had some concern by the MPCA that we might have an I&I problem with our sewer lines. So what we've proposed to do here is to televise the portion of our sewer lines that are inside the road bond area. That does two things. One, we can verify we do or don't have an I&I problem. And it makes sure that we're not putting new pavement over the top of a sewer line that should be replaced. That's the gist of this project, I guess. It's fairly straightforward. Most cities do this on a regular basis. So this is pretty routine. And I think it's fairly valuable information for us to have.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot in Public Works, and it is going to be necessary. It's sort of like, well, I better not use that analogy, but it is important to be able to see if we do have any leakage based upon what we were hearing from the state. They were challenging us on that, so this will be the way to prove it.
It'll confirm it. Mathematically, I think I've been able to eliminate the concern, but I would love to see that that is true. So.
Yeah.
Should we consider doing this same thing to those roads that we just got done redoing?
I wanted to do this as a test section to see if there's a problem.
Okay.
And if we notice there is one, then we will probably come back with a project to do more of the city.
Okay.
In the future, we might break it up into pieces over a few years, but
Okay.
if we don't see a huge problem with this, we'll probably continue with the program we had before, so.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion unless there's other questions for Tom.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose that we go ahead and approve the sewer main televising of the road bond lines, which would roughly cost around $13,430 as an estimate. And then go from there to see if we have any other issues, if there is a problem.
Mhm.
But if there's not, this should take care of it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Tom.
Recommendation to reappoint John Taylor to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'd make a motion that we approve John Taylor for the Planning Commission.
I'll second.
Did anyone else apply?
There has no posted vacancy at this point, so it would be a reappointment of him. So we have not had an option. We would need a resignation from him, and then we would be able to proceed with that. We have not received that. He did ask to be reappointed, and the Planning Commission did make a recommendation to the City Council at our last meeting.
Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Recommendation from Planning Commission reference downtown master plan.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. As part of the 2024 budget, the Planning and Zoning Department has prepared a request for proposal for downtown master plan. The goal of this master plan is to address the items that are listed in the memo that I included in your packet. The Planning Commission recommended approval to the City Council at the March 6, 2024 regular Planning Commission meeting. If you have any questions concerning the RFP, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions?
Yeah, I guess, maybe this is for everybody in here, we do a lot of these plans like this, let's do a study on this, let's do a study on that, it's just a pattern that's, kind of repeats itself in the town. My question for everyone in here is, what is the top 3 specific things that we are looking to try and achieve with knowing this information? So, it's great to do a master plan, but our goal in doing this, our top 3 goals are what with it? What are we going to do with it?
Well, I would say we have to look at some of the realignment of some of the roads that are in there. Also, I'm just saying, me, also, the flow of people through the downtown. Are we looking at more development of the downtown? How that'll work. I know some people, we've had citizens come in and discuss the possibility of sidewalks, looking at that, where they'll go. That's what I'm looking at.
So just, so I'm clear, so one of your goals would be to provide more room for summertime residents here, more room for infrastructure for downtown businesses, I guess I'm asking, like, what's our goals? What are we going to do with this information to make it viable to do? I mean, what service are we trying to provide back to the community with knowing this information?
If I may speak on that, I'm very sensitive and I agree with, plans for plan's sake is a waste of everybody's time.
Right.
And especially the taxpayers. As far as from a developer standpoint, having a downtown master plan would help developers know what the city is planning, know the direction that they're going. For instance, the parcels across the street from us sold. Are we going to be able to add parking to that? Are we going to finish out City Hall Street? I know the road bond is coming up, so it takes all those things into consideration. I'd like to see ideas to help get infrastructure caught up to speed, such as stormwater, so that we're able to maximize our downtown. I'd like the green space out of the middle of the road,
Sure.
as you and I have talked about.
Right.
And we've got grass in the middle of a parking spot in downtown Nisswa, and so.
No, and that's perfect. I guess maybe what you just spoke to then, is that written down and recorded anywhere? Not only for us, but future councils and for people that want to come into our town and invest and say, here's our goals with doing this. This is what we want our town to look like in the future. And
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah,
I-
it's a
I-
comprehensive
Mhm.
plan.
And that,
Yeah.
right, and that's what this would be. This
Okay.
would be that document that
Okay.
we would be able to, reference constantly and, always a living document, but something that we would be able to say, this is the plan, this is what's been agreed on, this is what the community has buy-in.
Right.
And this is
There'd be a
also
lot of
what's-
outreach.
What the city's identifying, the planning commission's identifying, and
Right.
I think a lot of it tandems future vision planning.
Yep.
We discussed, for example, city water.
Yep.
Mhm.
What's city water gonna do to downtown business landscape? Well, you're talking about complete rip up of current infrastructure, which can then also perhaps provide new guidelines for how we're envisioning pavement and the bituminous surface to be sidewalks, underground power, hooking up everything. It could provide a lot of opportunity, I think, to be able to get added input, but we have to have as much of this is what we're preferring
Mhm.
for a guideline to
And-
walk forward together with other parties as they come into it, including developers and businesses.
And major stakeholders such as the schools, such as,
Exactly.
Right.
we've got so many players and it's a great opportunity to invite them to the table.
No, and I just bring this up only because it wasn't this council. I mean, I think maybe John, you're on this before, when the city went through a whole series like this, spent a whole bunch of money, and then the council, didn't necessarily go along with the plan that was presented, back 8-9 years ago with
When the comprehensive
when
plan
the whole
was
comprehensive plan.
developed.
We went, you remember that, Mark, we spent a whole bunch of money, the city did, going through this, and then at the end, the council at that time kind of poo-pooed it after all this was done and brought forward. So I just want to talk about upfront on the front end. If this is what we're going to do, we're going to spend this money, go down this plan. We are committing on the front end to see this through and follow it through and not vote it down or, make sure that this is written down. So if the people in these chairs change, that the city is still moving ahead
In-
with this direction and all the work that you've gone to. I guess that's why I bring this up. I don't want a repeat of what has happened here in the past.
What happened with that initial plan, Joe, was that the Planning and Zoning Commission at the time didn't concur with the findings of the people that drafted up the comprehensive plan. They didn't like it. There were a lot of questions. They thought it was, and in some ways it was way over the top. I mean, it went in directions that were just not physically possible or feasible. And that's what the council looked at the time. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission sat down and went through and we retweaked it. And they rewrote it so that it fit more into what the city at the time was looking at. It. The old plan, for example, had bike trails on every single city road as it was rebuilt. Not feasible. Just can't, it just wasn't something that, you know, as an interconnectivity thing at the time, it wasn't something that, you know, widening the streets, widening the roads, doing all this stuff would have, the cost involved, et cetera. There was a lot of things that were looked at. So yes, that committee put together a lot of time. And, at that point, I wasn't on planning and zoning. The mayor at the time really dragged out a significant number of things on that. And finally, those people said, what are you going to do? Well, that's what they ended up doing. The other problem is that the comprehensive plan isn't looked at and understood by everyone on the council all the time. They don't keep looking at it. They don't understand it. They don't read it. They don't say, hey, this does work. And then there's some people who believe a comprehensive plan is, this is how you will do it. No, it's a guideline. Things change.
Living document.
Correct. And that's what the thing is. I don't know what are your top three things for this?
I'm just asking, I just don't want a repeat of, you know, what you
Feel
just
it's
said.
necessary to do this.
Well, I think it's a good thing. I think, like Jesse said, it can be a living plan to do and use. I just say, if we're gonna go through all this work and it comes up, you know, that, hey, we need a 3-story apartment building in town, that then we actually move ahead with that. If it comes up that, hey, yeah, we want, you know, some grass patches in the road and, you know, like what
might
we
want
talked
them.
about,
Yeah.
more curb appeal with the town, you know, if that's what the study brings back, then that, all I guess, and I'm asking of the people up here is that we ourselves try and follow it the best that we can, just because that has not been the pattern in the city to do. Otherwise, I do think it's necessary, but if we're not going to, I guess, follow it ourselves, then I say it's a waste of time and money.
Well, I think this council has been very good at setting forth, okay, this is the direction we're going and standing behind it. We did the Parks Master Plan and we've been standing behind that, making sure that that's getting done. And I don't think we would have a problem with that if they come back and say, this is what we recommend, but it is the future that can happen.
And anytime you take a project like this, it may run into issues and might need to make adjustments along the way. So I think it's a very good start. And I think as long as the council also gives good guidance as to what they would like, then I think that helps staff as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have no issue with it. I just want to bring this up, talk about it on the front end rather than go. You know.
I'd also like to note that this is not a replacement for the comp plan. We are required to have a comp plan, and so that's completely separate.
Right.
In fact, this will need to speak to our current comp plan.
Sure.
And so we'll have to look at all of those things as well.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion unless there's other questions for Bethany.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the request for proposal for a downtown master plan as presented.
I'll second it.
Further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bethany.
Next item on the agenda, approve recommendation to hire police administrative assistant. I will make the motion to say, yes, we hire the police administrative assistant. I know they went through interviews and my understanding was we had some excellent candidates and sounds like we found a good one. So,
And I'll second that.
any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I will also make a motion that we purchase the squad car as requested because Lord knows, hopefully it won't take as long as the other two have. So
I'll
starting
second.
early. And this is for the 2024
Mhm.
car that we would normally have replaced, so. How's this gonna screw up your? Yeah.
Sorry. Thinking about 4 years, you're gonna need to buy 6 cars.
No, we have, I think mileage wise, we can work it so it'll go back to the 1 car a year.
Good.
A couple of the cars are high mileage, but. we'll
Wow.
make it.
Nothing you could have done about it. We're at their mercy. So we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Recommendation from Liquor Committee reference spirits expansion.
Mayor Ryan, I don't have anything. I don't know if Councilmember Hall has anything. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with the Liquor Committee, but I will defer to him if he has anything to share. Otherwise, we can table.
Yeah, I think just table, we're still meeting.
I'll make a recommendation. We table item 10.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Set a special meeting reference to 2023 audit presentation for April 16th at 6:30 PM. Is a half hour enough?
Yes, that will be enough.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we have a special meeting, I think, scheduled for 6 already that night?
We potentially might, depending on if the council approves the schedule I propose for potential council member interviews, but I don't have anything else on the schedule that I'm aware of.
And the only reason why I know that, because I booked a flight, coming back from Chicago, I land in Brainerd at 5:40.
Oh.
So don't put anything before that.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the suggested special meeting regarding the audit presentation on April 16th at 6:30 PM.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution supporting retention of city zoning authority. Jenny.
Thank you. So this is a resolution that is similar to one the council passed a couple of years ago with the last biennium. But essentially it just speaks to a rigid framework at a statewide level does not allow for, local opportunity to develop our communities in the way that would make sense for our residents and our businesses. And that we oppose legislation that puts in measures of that degree to restrict cities to not allow us to develop our zoning as we need. So it's pretty broad, but it does speak to the issues that are being discussed. We would send it to our local representatives and also the members of the housing committees so that they received it as well. And as I mentioned earlier, I would work with Bethany if she's able to help give me some specifics on how this would impact. We could share that as well in the email that we send this to. So this was a resolution drafted by the league, so they have a template that cities can use to approve, and then they also keep a list of cities that have approved a resolution like this, so that they can, when they go and speak to legislators, they can say we have 30 cities, 50 cities, whatever that is, that has concerns about this legislation as well.
Well done.
I'll make a motion that we pass resolution supporting retention of city zoning authority.
I'll second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. One other item on reference to this stuff is, there's a number of things going on down there right now that they're trying to usurp local authority on different levels. I would really encourage people to read it, go through what's going on, and contact your local legislators and let them know they want to hear from people. They're using that information to go to committee, especially our representatives, since we're in the minority, so that they can let people know that it's not something at the meeting or at the seminar that Jenny and I attended. Everyone in the room, I'd say not everybody, but at least 90% of the people in the room, when the Speaker of the House and other people from the DFL that were there supporting this got up to talk or mentioned it, they were greeted with a very assured, we don't like it, is a nice way to put it. So, but I don't think they care if we like it or not. That's just kind of the flavor of what it is down there. And So there's where it's at, so. I would recommend looking at it because it's going to affect everybody and just the infrastructure aspects of it alone. I mean, my neighborhood could potentially go from 12 homes to 48. Everybody put a fourplex on there and think, well, I don't know how big a sewer line is running under my road, but I'm gonna guess it wasn't designed for that kind of usage.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you add it all up, I don't know how big a sewer line is under Church Street, but it's probably not designed for the potential usage it would get, so. There you are. So, all right. Next item is approved request to apply for Sourcewell Community Impact Funds.
Thank you. So Sourcewell offers a variety of grant program opportunities at varying levels. This one is called Community Impact Funding, and I included the eligibility requirements in your packet. The city can request between 20,000 and between 20 to 50,000. What it is though, is it's basically if your project, if you have a project you'd like to apply for, you fill out the information, and then all projects that meet the criteria, so they evaluate to ensure that it meets what they're looking for. Then it goes into a lottery, and then they pick X amount of projects based on how much overall funding they have. But I wanted to propose the council consider applying for these funds to make some improvements to City Hall. As the council is aware, we do have some improvements that need to be made with mostly the exterior of the buildings. I wanted to focus on some of those potential projects and see if there was any interest to apply for trying to achieve some of those projects and check them off the list. As you can see, I listed a handful of projects. They're not in any particular order. Some of them have local match requirements just based on the estimates that we received last summer, I believe, from Widseth when they helped us put together that plan. But I wanted to open up the conversation, get your feedback. If there was consensus on a certain project, I would complete that application, fill out the details, bring it back in April for your approval, and then submit it before the deadline. So with that, I'll just open it up for feedback or comments.
Did we get additional consideration for having former employees that are technically now been poached by Sourcewell? Is it like the NBA lottery? We get more tickets in the draw. I would say whichever of these options are going to be able to make the most compelling case would probably make the most sense.
Sure.
But if it's a lottery,
Right.
I don't think it.
I think it's just a matter of
For
if
one or all of them?
I would apply for one because
We need to pick which one.
the amount would cover. So the question is, we haven't budgeted for these projects. And not that any of these amounts are, I mean, they're significant, but I think we can work through some of those details. So the question is, I mean, just for an example, the first one with the windows, we would have to come up with a match of about $36,000. We can, if you want me to pursue that and look into that, I would and bring something back to you, but we haven't planned for that in our current budget. So something like number 3, the access control system for City Hall would be under the amount that Sourcewell would allocate, so we wouldn't have any local dollars involved.
So I would just say that apply for number 1, the windows. It's something that we're already doing and we can save existing funds.
How do we reimburse ourselves with the existing funds? Because I know, we've asked other, as we use those unallocated funds in the past, we've had departments that we've used them for, and then we've budgeted so that those funds have been replaced.
That wouldn't apply here because this is general fund money. So in that example, when the fire department purchased a truck, it was because there was a different funding source that money was coming in to repay the general fund.
Okay. Because I want to, we go to our unallocated funds a lot, or our general fund a lot.
Yep.
And, one of the things that people have to realize is that we currently have one city budget set aside so that as the budget grows, the amount of money that's unallocated that we can actually use. And we may have to revisit that. And that's something that we have to discuss on a council level and revisit that if that's something that staff feels that, we fiscally, if that's something you feel is something we need to do. And it may be, but trying to keep as much there as we can so that if, for example, the fire department, hey, we have this opportunity for this grant. Boom, we have money there
But
to be able to, you know, I don't want to shorten us so that we, you know, out of those unallocated funds. So, and then plus that helps our bond rating a lot to have money in the bank. You know, I'm not saying we need to have $12 million in the bank, but if we could keep what we have there as much as possible. So if we're gonna apply for a grant, I would go for number, you know, any of them is fine. I'm just to keep in mind that as we keep borrowing from that money, it goes down and down and down, and then have something come up that we really need, and it's not there.
I guess, yeah, and I guess my question,
know, but-
I'm sorry.
I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but I'm just kind of, you know,
I guess my question is, which is causing more trouble from, was it the windows or is it the roof? That's leaking more, causing us
Well,
issues.
the roof is, I mean, I think.
It is the roof,
source
right?
of that, but,
Yeah.
and when I say exterior windows, I'm not talking about the ones up, you know, here in the atrium, that would be different. It would just be the ones, you know, around the
Around there.
building, yes, so.
And
Probably
Tom,
Tom question.
which do you feel that we should be going for? The atrium windows? And that's part of the roof?
Yes, I included the roofing system and then the windows that are connected to that as one to try to fix all of that one area.
Oh, that's the
clerestory windows.
clerestory windows.
Yes.
Okay, well then I would suggest we go for that. Because that's degrading the building.
yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but all this is on the agenda or the schedule to be corrected this year, right?
Not for City Hall, no.
We didn't,
We-
we didn't budget for it.
No.
We haven't cut it
No.
last year.
Yeah, I know, but even. though
We've
we didn't
identified
budget
it in a
for it,
capital
we should do
improvement
it.
plan.
Yeah.
But we
need to
haven't-
Do it.
We
Yeah.
haven't decided because we talked about a bond potentially for a larger project and the council said we wanted to wait. So I was just trying to find something to kind of pick off to make an improvement because we do have some needs in the building. Don't want them to get worse.
But
So,
then,
yeah, I'd just say go for the roof then.
yeah,
The roof and the window.
or the
maybe.
atrium yeah,
I'm in favor.
do that.
Option two.
Roof?
I'm fine, I'm fine with
Well,
going with
that's
the,
what
with the
it's-
roof.
Okay. Well, then I guess I think the general consumption or consensus is to go for number 2.
Yeah, the roof and the windows.
That's the biggest need. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the application for Sourcewell Community Impact Funds grants for option number 2 regarding City Hall roofing system and clerestory windows.
I'll second that.
So the council's aware, if I remember from Tom's explaining to us with the roof and that, once they get that done, there may be some other interior damage
They'll have to.
Yeah.
that you'll have to take care of. We won't know until you get there because of the way the design was. So just FYI, everyone.
Right.
Yeah. There will be.
Yeah.
So, all those, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution accepting the resignation of Councilman Utzinger, and declaring a vacancy that exists on the Nisswa City Council. So I will make a motion, to accept the resignation of Mark Utzinger, regrettably, and declaring that a vacancy exists on the Nisswa City Council.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further questions or all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Sorry, Mark, to see you
Yep.
go. It's been great to have you here, but
Yep.
I understand rules are rules.
Yeah.
Then the second item 15 is a memo, discussing, reference the process for filling. This is the process we've gone through in the past. It's consistent with what we've done. So
So Mayor Ryan, then I would have a question for the council, just based on Councilmember Zahn's comments about coming into town right before the council meeting on the 16th. Would you like to set a special meeting date for council interviews for
Yeah.
that, or
Yeah,
doing it
let's-
after, you could do it after the regular meeting? Just want
I
to
think
put it
a
out there.
special date would be.
Let's just do a
better.
different date.
I think a different
Special date?
date would be
Okay.
better, and I think, like a 6 PM date time frame.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what works best for everybody. I just,
If it's gonna be past a month from now, close to, I
Sure.
could be here at 5, depending on Joe's schedule too.
well, that's why I'm saying 6 PM might be
6
better
o'clock.
for, everybody.
Later the better for me.
Right.
6,
I-
okay,
I'm just, I
Yeah.
mean,
7.
well, why don't we do this? Why don't we set a date, and then we'll, on that date, if everyone can look at their calendar, what a date is agreed upon, 6 or 7, whichever works the best for,
Okay.
so that all 4 of us can be here.
Okay.
Okay.
Can do that. I'll aim for just after the regular meeting. Just after that, sometime in that next week.
After a day after that, like the next week or something, or what? Or do we want to do it before April? I don't know that we have time to do
No,
it before.
I think giving 3 week,
Yeah.
giving a few weeks for someone to see the ad, to respond.
We shoot
The
for
end
the
of the month.
last week of April or the
Right.
first week of May.
That's preferred.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I will follow up with scheduling with the council, and then
yeah,
as long
everybody
as,
get the dates here available.
I'll send an email with some options.
Okay, great.
Yes, so
All right.
I think looking to just get approval then on the broad schedule plan here as far as the process. If there's questions or feedback on that, then we will proceed that way. Now I will get a notice posted and in the paper right away.
So I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion to approve the council's process to fill vacant city council position as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? And then there was a realignment of liaison positions. Did everybody get a chance to look at that? Questions, comments, or I'll entertain a motion, so
What happened to the negotiations committee?
we
And
just,
why?
we rolled the negotiation committee was Jesse and I, and then since Jesse was gonna just step into the personnel committee, so then it would be the negotiation committee, the personnel committee would be one and the same. That's why. Okay. And then you're taking over Public Works, you have the liquor department. Public Works and financial, I don't think. Why am I looking at 2 of these?
I'm the only one that didn't get a change. That's good.
Oh, that's that, then.
So I guess maybe just a question for Mark, something I had brought up, a couple times now. As you leaving now, and let's say, Jesse's stepping into the personnel committee, we talked a couple months ago about transition and stuff, are there notes, updates, certain things that people and staff talk to you about, I guess this is a excellent time to bring up, what are we doing for, succession planning or, passing off, even stuff that you might know about, for myself with Public Works. I know, you've had recent conversations with staff where that's at, with you leaving now, to update. Is there any sort of plan or process in place for that?
I think with the Public Works, we've gotten 2 items out of the way that's been there for a long time. But there will be more items coming up here, and maybe what we could do is you could call me or I'll call you and we can go over that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything with the Public Works Committee that's a hot topic right now that needs discussed?
Well, the main issue will be the bonding coming up. So which roads to pick, how much can we do? One of the main items was, are we going to go with straight bonding? Or were we going to go with the what was that, bonding or cemental block?
Assessments?
Assessments, right, assessments. And basically at the last meeting, you weren't available at the time, but I told the committee that we were really I've asked everybody what they thought. And basically it's a no go for assessments. And so to focus on bonding and to how much can we afford, what can we do, how effective can we be in improving the roads with the amount of bonding that we can do. So that's the hot topic that's going to be really coming up here.
Anything with the Personnel Committee?
Personnel committee, not as much. I was going to meet with with several people, but since I'm resigning, they just decided not to go ahead with that. I think that's been taken care of. And so I think things will come up as they come up, but nothing hot topic right now.
I'll reach out to you, ask for an update.
Sure.
Perhaps we can get together for a cup of coffee and.
Yeah, I'd
same thing with
appreciate
John.
that. Yeah. And I think it'd be a good idea to talk.
I'll do that and then follow up with you, John, afterwards and.
Yep. So if I can get a motion on the council liaison assignments,
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the revised 2024 council liaison appointments as presented.
I'll second.
any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And number 17, approve the 2024 committee assignments. Basically,
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 committee assignments as presented.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. There is nothing under old business. Mayor, council reports. The only thing I want to reiterate is there is, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in the legislature. There's over 4,000 bills introduced this year so far, 5,000 now. So there's been an additional 1,000 bills roughly in the last 3 weeks that they've been introduced, and some of them should scare the heck out of everybody. So trust me, it's going to be, it's even more hectic according to not just the league, but also Greater Coalition of Cities and others. It's been an even more hectic this year than it was last year. And they're really trying to pass a lot of stuff under the radar. So FYI. And it's going to affect all of us out here in rural Minnesota. So, okay, that's all I got. Anyone else? Mark?
I'm good.
Bessie?
I have nothing.
Joe? No. Okay.
Just one thing I just wanted to mention is that I appreciate, it's been a real privilege working here, being on the council. And I've really appreciated all the support and help from the citizens as well as the council members and the staff. And I'm going to miss it. But it's clear, I want to make clear that it's because I'm moving out of the city limits. So I will be moving and moving to a much easier place to take care of. And it's time to do that before it gets too late. So that's why this happened. Unfortunately, it happened faster than I expected. And so I wish everybody a good luck. And I know we have a very good staff and we have a very good council. And I know there's a lot of new challenges coming up on the horizon. So I will always be, my heart's always here. I'll still be around, not far away, so just out of the city limits. So if you need anything, I'm always happy to talk and I wish everybody good luck.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your service, Mark. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I'll second. Okay.
You can.
Yeah, that's right.
You're done.
All those